Welcome to Trial by Wine. We take a closer look at crimes that highlight how fascinating humans can be. Schmidty, Swanee and Clarkey visit crimes and run them through their jury of three, debating both sides of the case to agree an appropriate, if totally fictitious, sentence. Please be advised, Trial by Wine may include explicit or disturbing content and will include drunken rambling. Listener discretion is advised. All right, how are we?
Good, thank you.
Very good, very good. A little bit of off-air humour to start the day.
Why not? Why not? Indeed. Any news?
I've got a bit of a story. Have you got one,
what's
Swanee? You look like
yours?
you were about to say something.
No, I absolutely don't. I never have any news.
Okay, well, so I was driving home from work today, and there was a lady. Well, there was somebody on a motorbike, and they were going a bit slow, so I went to overtake them. As I went past, I had a look, and they were wearing a flannelette shirt, and on the back of it, it said, "Flannies get the fannies."
Oh, for God's sake.
And I thought, I mean, straight away, I was like,
Do
go
they?
on a bike for sure. But I was wondering why that hadn't made it big in the Hells Angels or Comancheros world.
Maybe it has, but we
'Cause-
just don't move in those circles.
On the back of a lesbian on a bike, it's hilarious. On the back
Is
of
that-
a Hells
Was it a man
Angel
or a
or
woman?
as a
I
woman.
think it was a woman.
I'm assuming it was a lesbian.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
But on the back of a Hell's Angel or something, like imagine it was Hell's Angel's logo, Flannies
Flannies
get the fannies.
Beautiful.
No, not today, mate. Just don't think it would be hilarious nor appropriate.
I do have
But there's
something to add to
makes
that.
it- Yeah, go.
So, because I haven't heard the word fanny for quite a while, but I've heard it twice in 3 days now.
Not
So
referring to a front bum pack.
Oh no, I
Living
am.
your
No,
best
not a fanny
life.
pack.
Oh,
no,
you are?
No. I'm referring it to like flannies get the fannies. My brother's partner posted like pictures. They hosted like a Mother's Day festival.
And they all wore those T-shirts to Mother's
No, not
Day.
quite. But in amongst all the posts, like the lovely photos and the spread they'd put on for Mother's Day, and they took them to the Southern Highlands Hub, there was like a card, and it said, "Of all the fannies in the world, I'm glad I fell out of yours. Happy Mother's Day." And I was like,
that is revolting.
base, so base.
That is base.
That is so base. Yes.
Revolting.
I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't even know. Has anyone reacted to it? I don't think they did. I think people were just
Yeah, horror.
oh, gross.
Scream
The
face. Yeah.
pictures of the mums next to it. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I got 3 comments. Love
Slap
this.
right up at the head. That's what
Love
you get from me.
this.
Oh, anyway.
Oh, I don't think the comments met her standard. She just put the phone away.
No one with their response. They're just like, they're nothing. They'll base.
So the other question is, do you reckon flannies do get the fannies?
No, I don't.
Not even
Unless
in the
you're
world
at a
of
BNS
lesbians?
or something.
What about like
I would
lumberjacks? Don't they
I would
have?
know about
Is
that.
that considered?
And if I
flannel?
was to turn lesbian, I'd only be attracted, I hate to say it, to lipstick lesbians.
Lipstick lesbians, not the diesel dykes. I think if any of our listeners are lesbians, could they please do a quick poll amongst their friends and report back to us to say
And
whether
if I
flannies
were
do
a
in fact
lesbian
get the
myself,
fannies?
I'd be a lipstick lesbian.
Is that your pivot?
No, I can't pivot that hard. I can't go.
What was the
What did
pivot
you
for?
call
What
it?
was
Diesel
that?
dye.
Diesel dye.
Diesel dyke, yeah,
Are we
yeah.
going to get? Oh, I mean, I was about to say we're going to get cancelled, but from what?
Right. Yeah. No, I think our listeners will probably giggle. That's right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't know that I know the expression, the DD one that you just said.
No, I didn't know that either.
DJ Deezer taught me lipstick lesbian and diesel dykes back in the 90s.
Oh, that's a long time ago then.
Oh, it's been around
yeah.
forever. Okay.
Yeah, it's not new, but it's an English term, not an Australian one.
I have no news. So I suppose we should introduce ourselves. I'm Schmidty.
I'm Swanee.
And I'm Clarkey, and together we are
Trial
by Wine.
And what are we drinking?
Swanee, is it pay week?
Oh yeah, look at me living it up.
Is she rich?
Yeah.
Oh, Mount Franklin.
The Mount Franklin sparkling one in a can with lime. Look at me. Cost of living. Not anymore. With a spritz of lime and natural.
The election's over.
Yeah.
I'm going to splurge.
Now it's Bunnings I've got to be worried about, apparently. I was watching a thing on Four Corners last night. It's like, oh, goodness.
What are Bunnings
me.
doing?
They're doing the same sort of stuff that the supermarket says, but they're not being really looked at. So they're sort of going hard and taking advantage of everybody. Yeah,
Well, they've been doing that for a long time.
Totally, yeah. But they're like at the same time, there was a brand expert saying basically they've got the most trusted brand in Australia as well. So everyone's kind of just leaving them to it really, while everybody else is going, hey, look over here, look over here. They're like, yeah, let them.
See, I think it's a real shame because I liked Masters. That little
was that a Victorian?
competitor.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was just Victoria. I'm going to assume it was, but it was like hardware for women in that it was pretty, and it reminded me a bit more like Homebase in the UK. But it folded. It didn't work. It was a poor experiment here.
Oh, I don't know.
But also, Bunnings are interesting because did you know that? Well, not so much Bunnings, but Wesfarmers owned Catch of the Day, and Catch of the Day just closed. I think it was the 25th of April, just bang, gone. Apparently losing too much money. And then I was reading someone, Fin Review or something, where the people who actually worked there said, no, it was the management of Wesfarmers that led it to be destroyed. Who knows, right? But you think about that. You think about how much they spent to get into the UK market because, that was a failed experiment. They bought Homebase in the UK for God knows what.
Yeah.
They sold it for like £1. It was an absolute disaster. They lost millions and millions and millions of dollars. And now they've got, whatever they've done with Catch of the Day. There's something rotten in the state of Wesfarmers. That's a WA brand, isn't it, Swanee?
Oh, yes.
Interesting. Anyway, I suppose that taps us onto a bit of news.
Yes.
What are you drinking, boys?
Well, we're having a Halden, the Edgar Wallace Cab Sav. And I think we may have touched on this many, many episodes ago, but it's called the Edgar Wallace because it's the father and his ashes are sprinkled on the vine. Right. So there's a little bit of Edgar Wallace in every glass.
Nice.
Not a glass and a half of full cream milk, but yeah.
And I bet Edgar's delicious, is he?
Oh, it's tasty as fuck. Yes.
All right,
what about you?
I've gone for an oldie but a goodie. It's a while since I've done this, but Swanee, I am drinking.
Is that shampoo?
No, it's gin, and it is the bottle of Papa Salt Coastal Gin, which was gifted to me by Swanee.
Well, funnily enough, I've got a 4-pack in my garage fridge with they're pre-mixed ones.
I think you sent that to me around the time that Mum passed.
So I did. I'm surprised you still got it.
I was about to say, isn't that impressive?
Either that or it's terrible.
She died in December. No, I hadn't. I just haven't had a lot of gin in the last 18 months. So there you go.
Cheers.
It's always good to drink gin when things aren't going well.
To Bernadette, yeah.
To Bernadette.
Cheers.
And all who
was one of our biggest fans of Trial by Wine.
Not at all. Papa Salt herself.
Really, really didn't like us doing this podcast.
Oh, I've got the video to prove it.
I know. I'm still scared. I think she's right.
I think she just thought we were some kind of Joe Rogan types, and we're not really. We're a bit too left for that. All right, so shall I tell us a story?
Love you too.
Sure.
The last time I told a story, which you may or may not recall, and I know you won't, Swanee, it was about a guy who most likely killed his wife, but there really wasn't a great deal of evidence about it. And the thing that was the hook, I suppose, for the media and the standout was that he'd been on Family Feud.
That's
Do you
right.
remember that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And he'd made a slightly disparaging remark in reference to what he may or may not have done wrong on his wedding day, being married his wife, or said, I do.
Yes. Yeah.
And that, I must admit, got me thinking about this other case that I knew about. So now I'm going to tell it.
Is it where a husband wasn't complimentary of his wedding day? Or a husband and wife didn't get on well together after 20 years?
No, it's a very loose connection, which is probably indicative of how my brain works. But I did think of this one. So my sources for this one are history.com, Wikipedia, ABC News, BBC.com, Oxygen.com, Cosmopolitan.com, WashingtonPost.com, CBSNews.com, which reported on a 48-hour special, DailyMail.co.uk, CrimeLibrary.org, Biography.com, LadBible.com.
How much reading did you do?
InvestigationAndDiscovery.com, Independent.co.uk, AETV.com, and ThoughtCo.com.
But was Wiki in there?
Wiki was the second reference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Are you home and host?
Did you read any of those, or are you just madly referencing things just in case because you can't remember what it is that you actually...
No, I read all of those.
Wow.
There's a lot that is the same across a lot of them, but you know what it's like? You're trying to find the nuggets all the time. You're trying to find the thing that's not reported everywhere. And this is a pretty famous case too. And for various reasons, it's come up more recently in public eye again, which I'll talk about in a minute. But this is the story of Rodney Alcala. Rodney was born in August 1943 in San Antonio, Texas, to Raul Alcala Bocur and Ana Maria Gutierrez. But when he was around 8, his grandmother became ill and she wanted to go back to Mexico. So they packed up and they went. His grandmother passed away while they were there. And then when Rodney was about 11 or 12, and I say this or that because in one version it's this and in one it's another, his father abandoned his wife and children to go back to the States. I'm not even convinced. I don't know if he really did abandon or he just went back because there was no work. But at any rate, it appears they separated at that point.
I'm still back on the fact that I've never heard of anyone called Rodney who's a Mexican. Rodney sounds like he's from the local pub. Rodney.
In Australia.
Yeah.
Do you reckon
Rodney,
he would drink Corona if he was?
It's a stretch for me. This Rodney
Yeah.
is a Mexican name.
Not on board yet.
He had an older brother, Raul, who I can't find anything about. So the father's name was already taken, right? So the dad's name was Raul. Eldest son
There's
was
this
Raul.
beautiful name in Australia that people use called Rodney. What do you think about that? Yeah. Rodney.
I don't know why he was called Rodney.
Do you reckon it's like a slangy thing for Rodriguez or something like that?
No, it's a very good observation, I think, Swanee.
Rodney.
I don't know
now
how
I'm
common
on
a
high
name it is
alert.
in Mexico.
Yeah, I'm just like that. He's already given himself a fake name. Right, as you were, Rodney.
So then his mum takes herself and the kids to LA because they weren't getting any work in Mexico. And Rodney did very well at school. As it turns out, he was super intelligent. And I've seen 2 figures around his IQ, one being 135, which doesn't impress me much because mine's 132.
That don't impress me.
It's better than
But
yours.
160, which I think is genius level, so fair enough.
And
his
they named him
mother,
Rodney.
And they named him Rodney. But it's not terribly surprising that he was super intelligent because his mother was a very impressive woman in her own right, which isn't relevant to the story, so I'm not going to tell you about it. But it does explain why he got big brain genes. I think something like she ended up with 3 degrees herself, like she's a super intelligent woman.
Swanee, do you know what yours is?
No. I'd be too scared to look at it. It'd be so disappointing.
I think mine fluctuates between
I'm sure mine's gone down.
Low and
the more gin I drink, it
75%.
definitely gets lower and lower and lower. What was the one that you did that case about the guy whose IQ was like 99 or 90 or something? And the whole way through going, but 99 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah, poor thing.
Rodney finished high school in 1960 and decided he wanted to join the army.
Oh, going back a while. Okay, 19.
Oh, yeah. He was born in 43. I said that.
Okay, I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah, in San Antonio, in Texas.
Couldn't get past Rodney.
I got
August.
That's
August
true. That's me.
1943.
I get fixated, don't I?
You got stuck on the Rodney. Yeah. I think, yeah. So he decides he wants to join the army, and in 1961 he joined, and he served as a clerk. And it seems like it might not have been a great career for him, given his commanding officer called him manipulative, vindictive, and insubordinate. All the traits you want in a staff member. He was also pulled up several times for assaulting young women, which is pretty bad, but not bad enough to get him chucked out or charged, from what I can tell. No, also another trait you don't want in a staff member, but also no criminal, like he's been pulled up for it, but not charged.
How bad were the assaults? Were they?
No record, don't know.
Oh, so I've got a story. Sorry, I should. It's kind of relevant. We were in Melbourne catching trams, the other day, and they said on a big billboard, any unwanted touching is sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Report to the police. I'm like, hang on a minute. We're on crowded trams getting touched by all kinds of people. None of it's wanted. I'm going to ring the police and say I'm being sexually harassed.
I'm being it's just unwanted touching. Yeah. We've talked about this before, that the fine line between wanted and unwanted, like it's so subjective. What's a creep versus what's a paramour? And it's all about whether or not you are.
It is. It's just like it's proximity. It's not even.
Yeah,
that's
true.
The thing. It's not
an accidental boob graze.
Well, no option. You want to just catch the tube in London? Jesus. That was like frottage central. You know, people were doing it all the time. Some people I don't think wanted to, and some people were trying to do it. You sometimes have a fair idea.
If you're the offender, can you say, I didn't want to either? It's proximity.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame the tube or the
Well, I think
trams.
that billboard doesn't take nuance into account. You know, the nuance of an accidental boob graze as opposed to
Fake news.
Yeah, I think you'd have to use a
Yeah,
different
exactly
media.
right.
I think you might have to
Yeah.
use a different media if you wanted the subtleties. Accidental
Yes.
boob graze doesn't look good on a billboard.
It's very long and wordy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in 1962, his father passed away unexpectedly in Tulare County, California, and the whole family attended his funeral, which I thought was
Okay.
interesting, given
Yeah.
every report I read that said that he'd abandoned his family, the father. But then Anna and everyone, they were devout Catholics, so maybe it was about doing the right thing. I don't know, but apparently they all went. In 1963, though, he went AWOL. Apparently, he had some sort of nervous breakdown and hitched from Fort Bragg in North Carolina to his mum's place in California. And of course, going AWOL, well, that's a real problem in the army. Assaulting women, not so much. But going AWOL will do something about that. So he was picked up and hospitalised, and the military psychiatrist who checked him out diagnosed him with antisocial personality disorder, and he was discharged from the army on medical grounds in 1964. You're a bit of a psycho. You're not going to be our problem. Off you go.
Is he antisocial because he's gone AWOL or because he assaults women? Because I feel like one of them, which they didn't pick up on,
It's not like the other.
is antisocial. The AWOL, I mean, you know, sure, I don't want to be around people, I'm leaving. Less offensive than assaulting women.
I wonder what it really means, though. It's a mental disorder characterised by a disregard for social norms and rules, a lack of empathy, and a pattern of behaviour that violates rights of others. Yep, so that does
I'm leaning towards the women assaulting women.
Yeah. That tick. So having left the army at 21, he went off to university. He went to UCLA, School of Arts and Architecture.
Wow. Because he's got a
So-
high IQ. Right, okay.
He's very smart. Yeah.
He's pivoted.
And it was interesting about his childhood because you got the impression that they were very poor. Like they went to Mexico, the father abandons them, they've got no money. But when they went back to California, Los Angeles, he was in private schools. So I don't know, they were Catholic private schools. So I don't know what the situation was, whether or not he was on scholarship or being Catholics in a Catholic system. They weren't actually paying very much. But it was a bit, you know what I mean? It's a bit odd. He was in these
Anything
private
to
schools.
do with Queen of the South?
Question mark,
It's
question
code
mark.
for drugs.
No, I don't
Oh.
think so. Well, see, that's how innocent and pure I am that I just went question
didn't know
mark,
that
question
either.
mark. What is Queen
Oh,
of
have
the
you not
South?
seen Queen of the South? Oh, it's a great,
No.
great
Narco movie.
Yeah, like
A
a
narco,
Narcos.
right.
series. So, yeah, it's fantastic. Anyway, it's not that.
No,
so
I
move
don't
on.
think so. I think just probably Anna was very intelligent, the mother, and I think it's the Catholic connection, if I'm honest. But in his last year, so he did very well at school, and then I think it was in his last year he decided to go to public school because he'd had enough of Catholic teaching. So anyway, that's just a bit of a flashback on Rodney. So he's gone to UCLA, he's at the School of the Arts and Architecture. Now let's fast forward a little in time, and we find ourselves in Los Angeles, 1968.
So 4 years after he was discharged.
4 years later, yeah. So at this time I thought he must have finished his degree, but maybe he was a part-timer or something because he's taken his time.
Yep.
In August 1968, Rodney was at a nightclub when he met Morgan Rowan, who was 16. Morgan was at the club with some friends.
At a nightclub.
Yeah, she was underage, yes. And Rodney convinced her that they should go to
Thank
an
you.
International House of Pancakes restaurant known as an IHOP.
Yum.
I assume it's like, well, I had said that because they call it IHOP everywhere, but not everyone, Clarky, knows what an IHOP is because we don't
I'd
have
forgotten.
them here.
I
There you
wondered if
go.
people had to hop in.
I've heard of IHOP and I've heard International House of Pancakes and I never made the connection.
Same
so there
thing.
you go.
Yep, there you are. So I apologise for our American listeners and US listeners because
I
you
hadn't
will
heard
know
of
what an
either.
IHOP is, but I did know that possibly Clarky wouldn't know the International House of
And I
Nailed
Pancakes.
it, 100% did not.
Got us both.
So he says, let's go to the pancake parlour, effectively.
Yep.
And being a 16-year-old sounded like a great idea, I guess. So they go, okay, and they get in his car. And, of course, once they get in his car, he says, we're not going to the IHOP. I'll take you to where the party really is.
No.
Mhm. And they
Red
go
flag.
to big red flag. They go to his apartment, and they
Where
all
the party really is.
That's where the party
It's not
is,
at the
yeah.
nightclub. It's not at the IHOP.
pancake
It's
parlor.
at his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Another red flag.
Mm-hmm. So once they all get there, he drags Morgan into his bedroom and locks the door. He then punched her between her eyes with a belt buckle, tied her wrists with a tie, and raped her. Her friends
I didn't. Oh, okay. We're
realizing
into it.
That escalated quickly.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Yep.
No music.
I thought we were having pancakes.
No welcome drinks.
That's what they all thought. I thought we were having
That is a
pancakes.
shit party.
This is the worst party ever. There's no canapes. There's no hors d'oeuvres. He's just straight into a room attacking our
Jesus.
friend.
So when you say they, was she not alone with him?
No, he took the friends as well.
Because
So
you
I
said
think
they a couple of times, and I thought, does he mean? Does
sounds
she
like
mean,
at least 2 or if not 3 other friends were with her.
wow.
But not in
And-
the her
the bedroom.
friends, not his.
Her friends, so
Her
all young, but
friends.
yeah, her friends.
So
Bloody
they're in the
hell.
lounge room and he's in
Everyone-
the bedroom.
Yeah, everyone get in my car. We'll go to an IHOP. Just kidding. We're going to my apartment.
Because
We
we're going
get
to
into
smack
the
my
house.
bitch up.
Where
Yeah.
the party really
Where
is.
the party really is. You guys entertain yourselves in there. I've got some good records while I beat and rape and possibly murder your friend. So he takes her into the other room and this happens. And then he's locked her in, right? And then the friends realize something's wrong and they start smashing on the door and they can't get in. So one of her friends, I think his name is Mick or Mike, goes around and climbs in through a window and
Mhm.
gets in. And so Rodney jumps up, says, "You can have her," and books it out, right? And they just grab her and they get out of the house. And I read that there were 2 or 3 of them. And they got out of the house and then there was a couple driving down the road and she's, I think, almost naked and, like just beaten up. And this couple pick them up and they take them away. And she stayed at her friend's place and a nurse neighbour helped care for her and she never reported because her parents were away at the time. And she never reported this to the police or anyone. And when she went back to her house the day or just in the nick of time before her parents returned, they never knew about this. She never told anyone.
Jesus.
And I think it was because there was a couple of things. I think she was underage in a nightclub and she thought because they went willingly to his house that no one would do anything about it.
Yeah, and of its time, 60s.
It still happens now. Yeah. On the 25th of September, 8-year-old Tali Shapiro was
How old?
walking to school.
8.
Was walking to school along Sunset Boulevard when a guy pulled up in a beige car and offered her a ride. She said no initially, but the guy told her he knew her parents. Tali's father worked in the music business and there were a lot of people who visited their apartment. So the 8-year-old figured that was probably true and she got in the car. The driver, Rodney, told her that he was a professional photographer and that he had a poster at his home that he wanted to show her. He drove her to his house and she remembers following him into his apartment. That's the last thing she remembers because we're pretty sure he belted her over the head.
Glad she remembers anything. That's good.
Fortunately for Tali, to your point, or Tali, I'm not really sure.
Well, I said Talia before, no?
It's Tali, so I'm saying Tali. A guy named Donald Haynes saw her get into Rodney's car and he thought it was very suspicious. And he says there was this guy and he was fixated on this girl and he was talking to her. Donald himself is a father and there was something really off about the whole thing. So he followed Rodney and Tali till they got to the apartment. And of course, it's 1968. He hadn't got a mobile phone or anything. And he's like, what am I going to do now? And he thinks, I can't follow him in because if he's got a gun or something and he's as dangerous as I think he is, it's going to be a really bad situation. So he gets to the nearest phone box that he can and he calls the police and he calls it in.
Wow, good on him. That never happens. I don't think
yeah,
that's ever
I
happened
know.
in one crime that we've done.
Jesus.
That's going to be the most shocking part of today's stories. Yeah.
No, it's not. But anyway.
Well, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know what you mean. But
Yeah, I was getting all excited then, Swanee. I was with you until she shot us down.
So the police go to the address and Rodney answers the door and he says, I'm in the shower, I've got to get dressed. So he shuts the door.
Does he answer the door like James Gum from Silence
Does
of the
he answer the
Lambs?
door naked or near to? Because that's what happens here.
Um,
He's like, oh no, I've just out of the shower, I've got to get dressed, and he shuts the door on them. I can't remember. It's a long time since I watched the film.
Yeah, no, he doesn't do that. No, but he does kind of let them in and
He
then
does
run
let her
away.
in and then he runs away and then he
Yeah.
So the police wait about a minute, or not very long actually, because I think the policeman said something like, you got 10 seconds and they were coming in. So they wait a little bit and eventually they kick the door in. When I say eventually, it's not very long. And they can see through, because it's an apartment, they can see through to the kitchen where there's a body on the floor and there's blood everywhere.
What?
Little Tali was lying on the ground with a metal bar next to her, which Rodney had used to strangle her, after hitting her over the head and raping her.
When you said that's all she remembered, I'm assuming he didn't succeed in strangling her.
Well, the police initially thought she was dead. So Chris Camacho, who was the attending officer, searched the property for Rodney because they thought, she's dead, let's find the perp, right? He was here a second ago.
Mm.
But when he went back into the kitchen, he realised Tali was still alive. So he could hear her gagging and trying to breathe. So the police then worked on her to keep her alive, in effect letting Rodney get away,
Rodney
but
get away.
they wanted to
right
get
decision,
her.
probably.
Yeah. So he abandoned going after Rodney, and they think he went out the back door when they kicked in the front door anyway. And they saved Tali. She was rushed to the hospital, and she was in a coma for over 30 days. I think it was 32 days. But she did
Jesus.
survive.
Wow.
She has no memory of the event. She remembers getting in his car and talking to him. She doesn't remember the attack. As I say, the last thing she remembered was being hit over the head. So they searched the apartment and they find Rodney's UCLA ID card, student card, right? And they also find a lot of photography equipment and lots and lots and lots of pictures of young girls. So they know who he is. So they go to the university and they ask around, and his professor and other people go, Rodney? Oh, no, he's a great guy. He wouldn't hurt anyone. They don't believe that. So knowing who he is from his ID, they put him on the FBI's most wanted list in 1969. But of course, it's the late 60s. So you've got TV and you've got radio, but you haven't got all the other means and technology to track people, etc. So people could disappear more easily at that point in time than they can now. So Rodney left California for New York. He changed his name to John Berger and got into the New York University Film School. And apparently he studied under Roman Polanski, who is a story for this podcast unto himself. No one in New York suspected him of anything, and life went on. Again, he's ingratiated himself into society. Everyone thinks he's a lovely guy.
I'm impressed he
Nothing
can
to
get
see
into
here.
uni so easily.
Smart guy, right?
Yeah.
Real smart guy. Remember the army commander said that he was manipulative?
Yeah. I thought that was an unusual thing for a man to say about another man. You know what I mean? That really stuck with me, yeah.
So obviously he's charming and he ingratiates himself into New York society, particularly in the university scene. No one thinks anything of it, and life goes on. So on the 12th of June 1971, Cornelia Michael Criley, who had recently landed a job as an airline stewardess, was moving into her first out-of-house apartment out of her parents' home. She's moving in with some work colleagues. And it's believed that while she was doing that, Rodney, who didn't live very far from her, offered to help her move some of her gear. I say Rodney, but at the time, he had changed his name, if we recall, to John Berger. So when her boyfriend came home from work that night, he found her door locked, which was unusual and surprising to him. He called and there was no answer at home and on the phone, so he became very concerned and he called the police. When the police arrived and got into the apartment, they found Cornelia. She'd been stripped naked, raped, bound and gagged, and strangled with a nylon stocking. She also had a bite mark on her breast. Her boyfriend, Leon Bernstein, was an assistant district attorney at the time, and the police initially suspected him. But with no evidence against Leon or anyone else, the case went cold. And the problem with spending all your time worrying about Leon is that they were not worrying about anyone else. Rodney, still calling himself John Berger, left New York and got a job at a drama camp near Lake Sunapee in New Hampshire. Sunapee, apologies if I'm getting it wrong. Now, you'll recall I said that the FBI had listed him on their most wanted list?
Yep.
Well, this is one of those moments where sometimes I think when we hear these stories, you think, would people have done what happens next in today's world? Or are we so saturated with messages and images and stuff that we wouldn't have paid attention? So 2 young girls from the camp, the drama camp, who had, I think they were gone into this little town or little village called George's Mills to escape a storm, and they were sheltering near a post office, and they saw the FBI poster and they thought, goodness me, doesn't that man look a lot like Mr. Berger? That's right. Doesn't he bear a striking resemblance to Rodney Alcala in the FBI thing? So they call the cops immediately, and in August 1971, Rodney was arrested for the abduction and assault of Tali Shapiro.
Jeepers, ladies, well done, girls.
Wow, well done, yeah.
End of story, I guess, yeah?
Well, when I was writing this, I was like, and the end.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So the Shapiro family didn't want Tali to have to take the stand because of the trauma that she'd undergone. And Fair enough. So the prosecution had to
She was
offer Rodney
8.
a deal. She was 8, and I think
when it
what I
happened,
say
yeah.
that was 68. So she's about 11
Yeah.
at this point in
Yeah.
time. But they still, I can understand that. So rather than charging him with rape and attempted murder, he was offered the option to plead guilty to child molestation and register as a sex offender, which he did. He also got, I think it was 1 to 10 years with parole. And he spent 34 months in jail.
So at that point, this is just for, because it's only for
Charlie.
Talia. They haven't made the connection with Cornelia yet.
100%.
Yep. Right, got it.
So what I have done is I've gone through a timeline of when victims are found, not the timeline of when it's connected to him.
Okay.
Because they are two different timelines.
The 1 to 10 years, that's one of those random sentences we get where it could be anything. I'm just surprised because you would like to think that whilst there was a plea deal and all that sort of stuff, the severity of what he did would push him more to the 10 end, not the 1 end. Was he released on parole, or was it just,
at 34
that'll
months.
do?
No, at 34 months he was released on parole. He was released on parole, yep. Not long out of jail.
Is that because there were no 8-year-olds in prison?
I
that
know,
old chestnut. Remove the temptation, and funnily enough, we don't reoffend.
I'm not triggered when there are no women around me for me to rape and strangle with their own clothes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Jesus.
So not long out of jail, and a 13-year-old rings up the police and reports that a man has kidnapped her in Huntington Beach. He'd offered her a ride, and then he wouldn't let her get out of the car.
Where's she ringing from?
Oh, I'll tell you that in a second. So, known only as Julie J., she said he dragged her to the cliffs at Bolsa Chica State Beach, California, where he made her smoke dope and he kissed her. The police picked him up and he was convicted of violating his parole. She ran away. I can't remember how she got away from him, if I'm honest, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, no, I just thought she was in the car, and I thought she might have been in his house.
No, he picked her up, and then he took her to this beach place, and then he made her smoke dope and he kissed her. And then somehow she got away from him and she rang and reported it.
Did she go, spider, and then run the other way?
Maybe. I might be confusing too. There's one victim who also escapes by being really nice to him. It's not this one, actually. It's not this one. So this one must have just got lucky. So Julie J rings the police.
Witty. She might have outsmarted him.
Yeah. She gets away anyway and rings the police and tells her what happened. And they pick him up and he's convicted of violating his parole and furnishing a minor with marijuana. So he gets banged up for 2 more years for that. Now he does 34 months for nearly killing a little child, raping. I mean, I know that the charge was molestation, child molestation, but still,
but
to your
second
point,
offence of very similar, come on.
Yep, but you'll enjoy this. By 1977, he was pronounced reformed due to the self-improvement programs that he was doing in prison. But being allowed out, he had to see his parole officer weekly. And that goes to your point about, well, if I hadn't paraded 13-year-old kids in front of him in his self-help programs, maybe he wouldn't be reformed. You know what I mean? Like there's no trigger.
Yeah.
I can attend all the classes. I've got nothing else to do. It doesn't
it just
mean
comes up
I'm not
all
going
the
to
time,
read.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
And literally the minute I get out.
Yeah. Can we just swing past the school?
It's not just school kids though. He is a pedophile, but he's a psychopath. So he gets out of prison after, being reformed. And he's allowed, because he applies for this, by his parole officer to go to New York to visit some relatives. Now, this was summer 1977 in New York.
Summer of Sam?
Son of Sam, at the exact same time, is terrorising New York, going around killing people. A young socialite named Ellen Hover was last seen at her apartment on the third... Fuck, I did it again. A young socialite named Ellen Hover was last seen at her apartment on 3rd Avenue on the 15th of July, 1977. Now, I don't know if you know of her, Swanee, but you'll know of some of this. She was a bit famous as she was the daughter of Herman Hover, the owner of, is it Ciro's Hollywood nightclub? Not Ciro's. It's CIRO. Rat Pack fame.
Yeah.
Massive Rat Pack fame, big band swing.
Maybe Chiro is Italian Chiro or something, I don't know.
It might be Churros, yeah. And her godfathers were, in fact, Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin. Yeah. Her date book showed that she had an appointment to meet John Berger on the day on that day, the 15th of July, and she was never seen alive again.
Jesus.
Now, her family hired a private investigator to try and find out who this John Berger was, but Rodney had just headed back to LA via a long and meandering road trip and reverted to his real name. Back in LA in September 1977, he got a job as a typesetter for the LA Times. And I think he was doing like wedding photography and bits of photography too. I assume background checks were not that good in 1977. But again, one of those weird things, like I was saying before, like the girls who saw a poster and recognized him and reported him, and maybe that was the conditioning of the time, but someone did tip the FBI off, pointing out that a New Hampshire drama camp counselor named John Berger had been taken away by authorities a few years back. So someone made the connection between this John Berger and Ellen Hover and the John Berger of New Hampshire drama camp fame. And so they connected it to Rodney, and they questioned him in LA, where he said he did know Ellen, but without a body, they didn't go any further, and it seems that just all kind of got closed and filed away.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. Ellen's
Jeez.
body was found nearly a year after she disappeared. It was badly decomposed and buried in the grounds of the old Rockefeller estate. However, there were no leads on her murder, and again, the case went cold.
Oh, that's old news. We're not going to spend time on that.
They wanted to, but they had nothing. It wasn't dismissive. They just had nothing. In November 1977, the body of an 18-year-old Jill Barkham was found in the Hollywood Hills area of West Los Angeles, California. Like Cornelia, she'd been raped, posed in a kneeling position, beaten and strangled 3 times with her own clothing, a belt, the leg of her blue pants, and her pantyhose. Her murder was brutal, and initially authorities thought she'd been the victim of the Hillside Strangler. As an aside, the USA had a surge in serial killers in the 60s and 70s, which some believe is linked to their fathers returning from war, but that's yet another story. And of course, the Hillside Strangler is another story, and is a weird connection and coincidence because one of his victims was a friend of Jill Barkham's and was killed a month after Jill. It was a busy time for killers, to be sure. So we've got Roman Polanski, David Berkowitz, Hillside Strangler, 3 stories we haven't covered, all of them good fodder. In December 1977, a 27-year-old nurse named Georgia Wixted was found dead in her Malibu apartment a month after Jill had been killed, and only days after the FBI had questioned Rodney in relation to Ellen Hoover's death. When Georgia didn't show up to work, her co-workers reported her missing. The police found signs of forced entry at her apartment, that's, I think, the first sign of forced entry, because we think that Cornelia maybe let him in because he was helping her move.
Oh, right, yeah.
So this is the first time that we've got a forced entry. She'd been posed naked on her bedroom floor. She'd been strangled with her nylons and brutally raped. Okay, trigger warning. Her head had been bashed in with a hammer, which I read was also used to rape her, and her genitals had been mutilated. So whilst there are a number of deaths with an emerging pattern,
I would have liked some more time to process that trigger warning, just for future trigger warnings.
Time is of the
But,
essence. Yeah, I know. But sometimes it's
That
just
was a
pulling the
lot and
pull the
very
band-aid
quick.
off. Quick. Yeah, because to pull the band-aid off, right? A lot and very quick, and then the stinger's there and then calms down a bit. Okay, so the thing is, there are a number of deaths and there's an emerging pattern. But at the time, it was actually quite difficult
but everyone's
to see
doing
it.
it.
Well, and you have other serial killers active at the same time. And the locations are all over the shop as well. So he's killing in New York, LA, and elsewhere. We'll find out soon. So, like earlier when the FBI spoke to him about Ellen Hover's disappearance, he was questioned in March 1978 with relation to the Jill Barkham investigation because he was a registered sex offender in the general area. And they didn't have anything to link him, but they did do him for possession of weed. So he did another short stint in jail for that, but it was out by June 78. In June, yes, literally just after he was released, Charlotte Lamb, a 32-year-old legal secretary from Santa Monica, was found dead in the laundry room of her apartment complex. She'd been raped, beaten, and strangled with a shoelace and posed with her hands behind her back. Again, no leads, no idea as to who did this, but there was a pattern emerging, so they're starting to see it now. One of the things that the prosecution say later in trial, so at least we get him arrested, etc., is that they believe, and I think this is probably true, that he also toyed with or tortured his victims in as much as he strangled them till they pass out, wait till they wake up, and then repeat
I was
process.
wondering about that because there were
girl
a
who was
lot
strangled
of
3 times?
implements. Yeah, a lot of implements used.
Yeah. So, yeah, he spends time. He doesn't bash you over the head, rape you, and strangle you while you're probably still out. He is enjoying hurting these people, these women, and girls. This is where we have a tenuous link to the last story I covered. So in September 1978, Rodney featured on The Dating Game as a contestant. And The Dating Game was basically a precursor to Blind Date.
Oh,
is this the movie with Anna Kendrick?
Yes. The movie with Anna Kendrick is based on this.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So he goes on Dating Game as a contestant. At this point, we believe he's killed 4 women. He's definitely attacked Tali and the other girl. He's been doing all sorts of things. Again, background checks, clearly an issue. Because he registered in his real name and he's a registered sex offender. So if nothing else, you would think that someone would have looked that up and said, I don't think that you are a great
I hope
bachelor.
Greg Evans used to check for us for Perfect Match.
Exactly, right?
Maybe Dexter did. Dexter probably did.
Well,
the robot.
That'd be part of the problem. If a fake robot was doing the background checks, no wonder this guy slipped through the cracks. I did right. It was the late 70s, so maybe that's something. But anyway, yeah, Dexter. Piece of cardboard with a couple of lights.
Yeah.
And, he's our background checker. So he appears on the show. It's very cringy, full of double entendre and lots of carry on. During her episode, the girl who was the main, what do you call it? Contestant, I suppose.
Yep. Contestant, yeah.
I think her name was Cheryl Bradshaw. So Cheryl Bradshaw, not Carrie, asked the 3 men various questions, including, what are you called and what do you look like? Bachelor number 1, Rodney, replies, I'm called the Banana and I look really good. When Cheryl asked him to be more descriptive, he added, peel me. Now, I could tell you that would have put me off immediately because not only do I absolutely hate bananas, but also someone, I can't stand them. Someone asking to be peeled has real Ed Gein vibes. So I'm like, oh no, mate.
Also, it's
they're wiener.
Phallic kind
yeah.
of.
That is precisely what he's going for. I'm thinking more about the man who made a belt with women's nipples. But maybe that's just the difference between you and I.
It's a lot.
Ed Gein.
Ed Gein.
Crimes Against Craft, I think you'll find the episodes.
Yeah, he was very talented.
No, he wasn't.
Nipple belt.
The contestant, Cheryl, actually picked Rodney as the winner. But afterwards, she rang up the producer and she said, look, I spent
He looks nothing like a banana.
No, I spent a little bit of time with him afterwards and I found him quite creepy. And I really don't want to go out with him. Is that going to be a problem? And the producer's like, no, I don't give a shit.
I'm not going to film a holiday. You're going on to Daydream Island.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It's okay.
To see how you're going. That's right. So now, to your point, Swanee, this story has been back in the news because Anna Kendrick has made a Netflix show called Woman of the Hour, which is about Cheryl and Rodney and this moment of them crossing paths.
Wow.
Netflix press notes for the movie does say that Bradshaw and other parts of it are fictionalized.
Yeah.
So don't go believing it as gospel if you do watch it. They changed all the names, and Anna Kendrick said there's very little public information about the real person, being Cheryl. So Cheryl's life before the dating game is basically an imagined version of a woman in the 70s, Kendrick said. And her story became central in teasing out the thematic elements of the pervasive gender issues that were rooted in that era and persist today. So Woman of the Hour sounds like some kind of feminist thing, which is fine, making a point about misogyny of the 1970s. And, of course, the fact that how bad is it when even a serial killer can get on a dating game show?
Yeah.
Anyway, luckily for Cheryl, she didn't say yes and she survived. She didn't have anything majorly bad happen to her.
I mean, that would have been a bitch for ratings, wouldn't it?
On February 14th, 1979, so the last thing we saw was the dating game 78, September, Rodney picks up a 15-year-old called Monique Hoyt in Riverside County.
took her to his apartment where he said they had consensual sex. The next morning, they drove to the mountains where Rodney took pictures of her in the nude and simulating sex acts, but she got scared and screamed. So he tied her up, beat her and raped her repeatedly and bludgeoned her in the head with a rock. And he took photos. Those photos about simulating sex, I've heard reported either as he took photos of him raping her or it was simulated sex. I've heard both. So this girl, however, is really nice to him and talks to him like, they're going to be a couple and everything's good. So he puts her back in the car. He doesn't kill her there. And he drives her back. And on the way, he gets out of the gas station, go to the toilet, and she runs away and calls the police.
Clever girl.
Yeah. So he was arrested, but his mother posted bail for him. So even though I said she was a very intelligent
Mother of
woman,
the year.
I know I said she was a smart lady, but unfortunately, not on this occasion. So he gets out
Smart,
again.
Immoral lady.
I don't even understand, though, how, if you've been in jail for possession of marijuana, child molestation, suspected on multiple things,
100%.
how you even get bail after...
And you get out of jail and you do it straight away.
But you get bail for raping a girl and bludgeoning her and... how? How?
Yeah.
Anyway, it did happen, though.
It's the right question to which I have no answer.
Jesus. On the 13th of June, 1979, Jill Marie Parento left work to go to a baseball game and was not seen alive again. Her apartment was investigated by police and they found signs, again, of a forced entry and Jill dead on her bathroom floor. She was naked. She had pillows posed. She was posed with pillows under her shoulders to lift her up a bit. Like the other victims, she had been raped, beaten and strangled. Now, of course, it's 1979 and it's pre-DNA. But the killer did cut himself crawling through a window and they took the blood evidence. So, because they could still do blood type matching and stuff.
Right.
But that will eventually become quite useful. Only 7 days later, on the 20th of June, Robin Samso, a 12-year-old girl, was heading to ballet class. She'd been at the beach earlier that day with her friend Bridget when they were approached by a creepy guy wanting to get photos of them in their swimsuits. A neighbour of theirs, Jackie Young, had chased him off. He was clearly evidently creepy, right? Because other people like that, the guy who followed him with the little girl, Tali Shapiro, people saw him and knew he was a creep. He wasn't
Others
charming
said he was charming though, yeah.
Yeah, but I think in certain scenarios it gets away with it. But in when he's fixating or something, people can see he's not quite right.
Yeah.
So Jackie chases him off and the girls go about their day. And then Robin had to go to ballet. And she was running a bit late, so she borrowed her friend's yellow Schwinn bike. But then she and the bike disappeared. Sadly, 12 days later, her remains were found. They were very decomposed, with the head having been separated from the body and the left foot and parts of her hands were missing. There's this whole thing about the park rangers too that I'm not going to get into, but she'd been so badly decomposed that one of the US park rangers who found her thought they were deer bones and he tossed one of them to his colleague.
Thought you were going to say to his dog.
No. What's interesting about that is the colleague, whose name might be Crapper, I can't remember.
Fido.
She was a bit crap. I think I worked out something like 7 days earlier. So she's been missing 12 days, this little girl. About 6 or 7 days into her being missing, this park ranger found her. She observed it. She thought that could be human remains. She never called it in. Apparently, again, a few days later, with the same guy, they came across it. And the guy assumed they were animal remains, and she again thought that they were not kids, they were human. Didn't say anything. He throws this bone at her, and she's really freaked out by the whole scenario, but doesn't say anything. And then I think it was 3 days after that, he realizes that they are human remains and calls it in. So that's really
Straight
weird.
from the vaults of career decisions I regret.
It's weird, isn't it?
Far out. She would be.
She never, but she said
not
she had
sleeping
amnesia
well
at the trial.
after that.
No, she just completely denied. It was weird. I don't understand what that was all about.
Oh,
anyway,
imagine the.
I don't know.
That's a lot.
So, and everyone would know this kid's missing. Can you imagine the news in that area? It would be like day 5 hunt for little Robin Samso,
I'm not sure a deer bones or deer skeleton would look a lot like.
I'm also amazed at
young
how
girl's.
decomposed a body would be within 12 days. Apparently, I read somewhere that they said that animals had been scavenging, but still, I'm not sure. She was missing so much of herself. On Wiki, it said that she'd been raped, beaten and strangled, but in other accounts, her remains were so decomposed that they couldn't actually determine cause of death or if there'd been a sexual assault. Bridget and Jackie provided the police with a description of the guy on the beach, and they made a photo fit, which for once was pretty accurate. One of Rodney's ex-parole officers, and this is one of these coincidences, saw the sketch on the news and called the authorities to say they should have a little look-see into Rodney Alcala, which they did. On the 24th of July, 1979, the police arrested Rodney at his mother's home and charged him with the murder of Robin Samso. Dun dun dun.
But he got 1 to 10 years and let off in 3 days.
When they searched his mum's place in California, they found a receipt for a storage locker in Seattle. Unsurprisingly, they skedoodled up there to search it, which was lucky because Rodney was recorded on a call from prison to his sister saying, "Get up there and clear it out before they get to it." But the police were already on it. The storage locker held thousands of photos of young girls and some boys, including one of a girl who had been at the beach on the same day as Robin and who had told the police about the creepy photographer. The locker also had a collection of earrings, one pair that were identified by Robin Samso's mother as belonging to her. So initially he was held without bail and was tried for Robin's murder, found guilty and given the death sentence. Then, because the jurors being told of his priors and possibly being a prejudice against him, that conviction was overturned in 1984. But I don't think he was actually allowed out because I think that what happened was that got overturned and they almost immediately rearrested him. Because there's a second trial in 1986, which is almost identical to the original one, but we don't talk about his priors. And again, he gets convicted and given the death sentence. And remember, this is just Robin. He's not been connected to any other victims at this point in time. Oh, Tali as well. Tali and Robin are the only known victims. And this second trial is the one where we don't talk about Tali. So again, the wheels of the legal system turn and appeals are filed. In 1992, the California Supreme Court upheld the verdict, but then in 2001, a United States District Court judge granted the appeal for the second conviction, and it was overturned. So he's no longer on death row and not a bad guy. The Orange County investigators were not going to let it go, though, and they arrest him again and prepare for a third prosecution in 2003 when... Guess what? Advancements in forensic technology start to catch up with old Rodders.
Yay.
So I don't think he was out of jail. If he was, it wasn't for very long, from 79 when he's arrested to now we're talking about 2003. He, strangely, didn't want his DNA sampled. But thanks to a new state law at the time, they did it anyway. And sucks to be you, Rodney, because guess what? It led to connecting Rodney to Jill Barkham, Georgia Wixted, Charlotte Lamb, and Jill Parenteau.
Wow.
And while he was in jail between trials, he also decided to file 2 lawsuits against the California penal system for a slip and fall incident. You know what they say, Clarky? The standard you walk past is the standard you accept.
The standard you set, yeah.
That's right. And also, and I think you'll enjoy this, for refusing to give him a low-fat diet. Priorities. Dust. He wanted dust.
High fat,
they
low
wouldn't give him
fat.
dust. He could just exercise restraint.
Yeah.
It's probably
Cake,
what
but
they said.
It tastes so good, we'll put it down as low fat. Do you remember that from Little Britain?
I do, yeah.
Love
Dust.
it. Anyway.
Dust. Every time I go on a diet now, when someone says, "What are you eating?" I go, dust.
Dust, yep.
So the California prosecutors decided to join the Robin Samso charges with the 4 other murder victims. The defense contested it, surprisingly, but sucks to be them because the California Supreme Court said, nope, you're going on trial again. And that's what happened. In a classic serial killer move, Rodney decided to defend himself.
Oh, brilliant. He's smart, so...
He is very
work.
smart, and that's the problem. I know we've had the diagnosis of, what was it, antisocial personality disorder, but I'm going to have to say narcissism sits in here somewhere.
Why? Yeah.
Not suggesting I'm a psychiatrist or psychologist in any possible way, but I am happy to armchair diagnose this guy as minimum
Based on past learnings.
psychopath, sociopath, and narcissist. Yeah. So he decides that he's going to defend himself, which includes asking himself questions and calling himself Mr. Alcala in a deeper voice, and then answering himself with his normal voice. Mr. Alcala, were you here at blah blah time? No, I wasn't.
Oh my God.
It's like something out of the Muppets.
Imagine being on the jury.
Well, he's not doing himself any favours, going back to the narcissism, because he thinks he's so smart that he is.
If it was blind jurors, that would be appropriate.
Indeed. He says that he was somewhere else when Robin was kidnapped. Can't prove it. Shows himself wearing earrings in the dating game show to prove that they were his and they weren't Robin's. But the jurors were like, we can't actually see in the footage whether or not he's wearing earrings. So they were little like studs, little ball earrings. And they're like, we're not buying it.
No proof.
No proof. So, and also one of the guys who was also on the dating game doesn't remember him wearing earrings and said, I would remember it because in 1978 it wasn't cool for a man to wear earrings. So it would have stood out for me as odd. And I don't recall everything. The same man, however, did say that pre-recording, Rodney said to him, I get all the girls or something like that. And he was like, he was just weird and creepy. I didn't like the look of him. He was right. He also said, and this is the most compelling of his evidence, you'll enjoy this, Swanee, he didn't remember killing the women.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess he didn't do it then.
Hmm.
Then he played Alice's Restaurant Massacre by Arlo Guthrie, which is an 18-minute spoken monologue to some banjo music, and it might not have been a good choice as the lyrics are about a guy who did some fly tipping and got arrested for it, and then he got fined in order to pick up the rubbish. And then the second part of the song is about, I think, trying to dodge the draft for the Vietnam War, which included trying to make an army psychiatrist think that he was homicidal. And that's the important bit because the lyrics then go, shrink, I want to kill. I mean, I want to kill. I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth. Eat burnt bodies. I mean, kill, 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 kill. And I started jumping up and down yelling, kill, kill. And he started jumping up and down with me when we was both jumping up and down yelling, kill, kill. And the sergeant came over, pinned a medal on me, sent me down the hall and said, you're our boy. Now, I think it's ironic.
And this is part of his defense?
Yes. I think Arlo Guthrie was trying to say in that moment that he was trying to get out of the draft by saying he was a psychopath. And instead of being told by the army, you're a psychopath, go away, he was like, you're great, you're what we want. I think he was trying to make some statement like that. But instead, of course, he plays something to the jury in his closing statement that basically says, I'm a fucking psychopath. Yes.
Yeah.
So unsurprisingly, the jury convicted him on all counts of first-degree murder. And he was sentenced for the third time to death in March 2010. Bearing in mind, his last known crime was 31 years earlier.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
So then New York had a go for the murders of Cornelia Crowley and Ellen Hover. He was indicted in January 2011 by a Manhattan grand jury. In 2012, he was extradited to New York. He entered not guilty pleas, but then inexplicably changed that to guilty pleas in December. He was then sentenced on the 2nd of January 2013 to an additional 25 years to life because there is no death penalty in New York State at that time. So after the 2010 trial, the police released 120 photos, and you can find these online if you are looking for them. You just look up Rodney Alcala photographs and they will come up. There's 120 of the photos, and the idea is to hope to identify the people in them.
All right.
Because there were about 900 images, but some of them were too explicit to be released, so they've culled them down to this. 21 women came forward to say they were in the photos.
Oh!
6 families came forward saying their loved ones were in the photos and had been missing for a long time.
Oh, my God.
The following women are believed to have been victims of Rodney Alcala. Morgan Rowan, and I talked about her earlier, she survived his attack. Pamela Lamson disappeared when meeting a man who was going to photograph her and her body was found in Marin County. Police are reasonably convinced she was a victim of Rodney. Christine Thornton. Now, she disappeared in 1977, and her body and that of her unborn child was found in 1982. Her image was in one of the photos in his locker, and her remains were eventually formally identified using mitochondrial DNA in 2015. From the time she disappeared, her sister tried to find her. She put all of her energy
It's her life work,
when she wasn't doing other things, trying to find her sister. And she would ring up government agencies saying, is there any movement, any record, has she had any payments, all this sort of stuff. And she said herself words to the effect that it was sort of staring her in the face that her sister wasn't alive anymore because no one had seen anything or heard anything of her for such a long time, but she didn't want to accept it. And then when they released these photos, I think I read that her son saw them and rang her up and said, you need to look at this. And she saw this photo and recognized her sister.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I think it was one of those like Ancestry.com type things that they put the DNA through, and then they were able to formally identify the connection between her and her sister. And her sister had been 6 months pregnant at the time of her death. So Rodney was charged for the murder of Christine Thornton, but he didn't stand trial as he was too ill at the time for extradition. There are a series of other cases that police believe are linked to Alcala, and in some cases, people estimate he could have killed over 100 people. Rodney Alcala died of a heart attack on the 24th of July 2021, aged 77. He never helped the authorities identify anyone or admitted to any crimes other than the 2 New York murders. And that, my friends,
God.
is the story of the dating game murderer.
That's horrendous.
Don't really know what to say. That is off the charts, really.
He's a bit like
I've never
Israel
heard of him.
Keyes in that Israel Keyes in that kind of just traveling around, and he was described as a sexual predator who, not just like a murdering sexual predator who the hunt of people was as exciting to him as the actual act of killing.
There's a little bit of Red Ripper in there too, isn't there? Just that getting away with it so much.
It's interesting because getting away with it, but not getting away with it, like getting pulled up for minor things when he's under their noses the whole time, basically, and he's just pulled up for like a bit of dope here or, a bit of that there. And even like he should have just been in jail for a minimum of 15 to 20 years for that first offence.
Yeah,
That's the thing. That's the bit where I mean, God, he just gets.
Fuck's sake.
I know what he's doing. Not obviously all of them together, but God, there's enough there.
It's shocking, isn't it?
Was there ever a single man that he murdered?
Not that we know of. I think and I'm not even quite sure why he targeted women, because there's nothing to suggest he had a bad relationship with his mother or sisters. They actually alibi him or try to alibi him for Robin Samso's murder. They say that he was on the phone. He rang his sisters from the mother's house. The phone records do support that, but we don't know who actually called who, right?
Yeah.
But there is a thing that he apparently talked about killing Robin Samso and what he did in jail. And they brought the 2 cons that were in with him, who obviously said, oh, he's been telling us this.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he said is that he'd put that yellow bike behind a thrift shop or something, and they went to, and the owner of the thrift shop said that he had found a bike there. So there was enough that was lined up with the things that he had said that he had done, because I think he said, oh, I didn't stab her, I strangled her or something. And it's like he was telling these guys, he was correcting misinformation in the press or something, and it was indicting him the whole time, because it's like, well, he knew because he did that. I'm confident he did it. And his mother and sister's alibi was just very misplaced loyalty. The flip side is they were terrified of him. Not sure. There's nothing about their relationships. I didn't get into any of that. He seems to drift around a lot. He goes from California, he goes over to New York, he goes to Montana, he's got a locker in Seattle. Like he's all over the shop, traveling around killing people. And that's the point, right? He could have killed countless of the people in those photos. We just don't know. So how would you sentence him? I've got an idea.
But we really don't know why he did any of it, do we? Just that he's a psychopath, is he?
Yep, pretty much. I think they make out that his father abandoning him at age something between 8
So I'm so
and
glad that he
11.
took it out on women. Yeah, great.
Exactly right. So I feel like there's something else. Maybe there's a whole other backstory that we don't know about, or just he's a psycho. Don't know. I don't even care why he did it. He shouldn't do it. It's the whole motive thing.
That it could
The
be
motive
that sort of thing
doesn't
where
justify it. It just sort of tries to explain it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it helps you try to understand or rationalize it a bit.
Yeah.
But I just can't get my head around the fact that he got away. Like, it's not like he wasn't, he got away with it, wasn't caught until the end, and then they unpacked it all and worked out what he'd done. They had glimpses into this along the way.
Yes, that's it. That's what makes the story interesting is the wrong word, but hindsight's 2020. But there are so many opportunities, it feels, for him to have been banged up to rights well before. And look, they do talk about this in quite a few of the articles, and that I think on the 48 hours thing, that the police are saying we didn't have the technology that you've got today. We didn't have the DNA. We didn't have those things. I mean, it's kind of remarkable. One of the earrings, I mentioned that he kept trophies. So he kept earrings. And so the ball earrings were associated to Robin Samso. There was another pair of earrings that they did find traces of DNA on, which they believe belonged to Charlotte Lamb. They've linked those earrings to her. We don't know who else owns any of the other earrings. It could be victims. It could be other victims that we don't know about. In 1977, 8, 9, when those police are doing the investigation, they don't have the power of the internet. They don't have connected databases. They don't have all the things, they don't have DNA. They don't have all the things that we have today. Which is why I found it really interesting that those little coincidental moments, like the two girls who are just escaping a sudden shower in the rain, and they go to the post office and they see their camp counselor's photo in front of them, and they report it. They do something about it. That's the extra bit. It's like, and then the parole officer going, that looks a lot like that guy that I paroled 5 years ago. I'll just get on the blower and say, have a little look at Rodney. That photo fit looks a bit like him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the man who says, I've just seen a kid get in a car and it doesn't feel right to me. I'm calling it in. We say nowadays.
You've got to love those little gems.
Yeah. We say nowadays if you see it, what is
Report
it?
Report it.
See it, say it, or
see
something
it.
like that.
Yeah, see it, say it, yeah.
And yet, see it, say it's been happening for quite some time. Possibly more in the olden days. I mean, I know we're not talking olden days, but
no,
the 60s was old enough, 60 years ago.
Now I feel like I should be reporting other people's unwanted touches in public transport.
Maybe there was something in that the whole
My
time.
God, I just saw 100 people in a tram get touched unwelcomingly.
If it's by the same person, then yes, you should be reporting it. Yeah.
Jesus. Sorry, I'm just a little bit blown away by that story. Looking for something
shell-shocked?
humorous.
Yeah.
Oh, God, awful.
And his violence escalates and it's horrendous. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's kind of like what you were talking about then with those not quite sliding door moments, but when somebody sees something and does something positive to, get an outcome. It's kind of on the flip side of that is this idea when you start to tell a story like that it's just the horror of thinking who's going to go across his path, because it does feel like it's as random as that. On the right day or the wrong day, I guess, you're in the wrong place, and that terrifies me.
It was picking up people off the streets.
Yes.
Going to a nightclub.
Yeah.
He met them everywhere, bookshops, everywhere he went. He did this whole thing of, I'm a photographer, I'll take a photo.
Oh, yeah,
there was
be
a
a model,
girl.
I bet.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be a model. I'll make it, all that stuff.
Yeah.
There was a girl who met him like meters from where Ellen Hover's body was found.
Yeah.
And he took photos. John Berger took photos of her there. So like he even had little places that I think he frequented more than we realize, whether or not he killed and buried someone there. Like there was the one I talked about, the last Christine Thornton. They went and saw him when he was in hospital. He's dying. He saw the photo of her and it was...
Sorry, I'm confused. Who was dying?
Rodney in hospital.
Did he have a heart attack?
Yeah, but he was sick. He was dying.
Oh, before that. Okay, right.
Yeah, because they wouldn't extradite him for her.
At this stage.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. They wouldn't extradite her. Sorry, they wouldn't extradite him for her murder. So she was murdered in Montana.
Right.
Found in Montana.
He wouldn't leave.
And so he would have had to be extradited from California, which is where he was, to Montana to stand trial for Christine Thornton's murder. But he was too sick. So they take a photo of her and they say, do you recognize her? And he says something like, "Oh, this was my area." He won't give them anything, but he gets off on it a bit. This is my area, Oh, I might have met her, but
it's my hood.
He what?
He just sounds
like
awful.
A killing ground.
And I hate that he lived to 77. That really annoys me too.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
So I've got a punishment. It comes from Britannica.com.
Oh, is it a classic?
Oh, it's a classic. Depends who you ask. It's called scaphism. It was apparently one of the worst and most painful skin-crawling methods of torture.
Oh.
It was described by the Greeks as a punishment used by the Persians. And if they are to be believed, those Persians were insane.
They were pretty rough, yeah.
In this form of execution...
Once you've had Persian, there's no other version.
In this form of execution, take note, It's not going to end well for him. The accused was trapped between two boats. It's not going to take 41 years either. The accused was trapped between two boats or in a hollowed out tree trunk and force-fed milk and honey. I mean, that sounds all right.
No. What's going to eat him?
Except that the milk and honey diet eventually caused horrible diarrhea, which stayed within the wooden enclosure. The unfortunate condemned was smeared with more milk and honey and left out in the sun or near still water. And this reminds me of that episode where bugs and things were coming, where bugs would be attracted to the muck and rot and sweetness. The person would inevitably die either of dehydration, exposure, or bite and sting wounds.
What the hell?
Yeah,
That's pretty nasty.
That's what he's getting from me.
When in his timeline are you going to give him that one?
Hard dose of scaphism.
How did you find that?
Googleized it. Well, I mean, I think it's got to be at the point where he is convicted of these things because it's a punishment, not something to stop him from doing what he's done.
Pre-empting it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm going, righto, if you've really done that, I'm not going to leave you on death row for 40-odd years until you die of a heart attack. I'm just going to scaphism you. You decide how long that takes.
Yeah, and I think I might just upset him by putting him on a high-fat diet from the minute he goes into jail, regardless of whether it's trial 1, 2, 3 or 75.
Yep.
I'm going to put him on an incredibly high-fat, incredibly high cholesterol diet and force him to smoke 25 cigs a day.
No, bring on that heart attack.
And so that he has his
Oh, I
heart
don't
attack.
like that. He might enjoy the cigs. Can't he find it some other way?
But he did well. He didn't like the. We know that he didn't like the high fat.
Could he just eat lard?
I think the high fat diet should be sufficient
like
in getting it quickly.
Every drink he has,
Like
it's
with
not
the foie
water,
gras.
it's lard.
Like force feeding foie gras, the geese.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, we'll force feed him.
That's a good idea.
Is it
Yeah.
Fat
geese?
until he has a heart attack.
Yeah.
What is it, duck or
Geese.
geese? It is
I think
geese.
it's geese.
It is, yeah.
So Swanee, are you just gonna get a what do you call it, a plunger and just force feed him? Is that?
I don't know. I find this terrifying. I really do.
Yeah.
There's a couple that we've done like this. We haven't done like this one for a while, but it sort of speaks to that period of time where people were just out doing what they wanted, right? Getting off scot-free, under the radar, taking girls.
Just easier.
I mean, it wasn't focused on prostitutes. It was just, this guy's just whoever, people that he'd come across. And I do get the impression, and had a couple of photos, that I saw him described as being charming, and he wasn't bad looking.
No, he wasn't bad
So I
looking.
think he didn't give off that kind of, I guess he may have behaved creepily in certain
I think
situations.
some people picked up on it,
Yes.
but a lot of people wouldn't.
But if you weren't interacting with him or whatever else, I think he would just come across as a cool, well-presented
That's what I saw.
young man.
You could imagine he's like a cool photographer. He's not bad looking. You could see. I think I read that he's been likened to Ted Bundy because he's not bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not looking at him going, oh, you make me feel uncomfortable by your appearance to start with. That's the thing. Your defenses are already slightly down because you're like, oh, he just looks like a normal good guy or he's charming or whatever else. You're not thinking, oh, God, you're weird and you're going to do something weird and creepy. Yes, I understand that he was creepy towards some people and they got that, but I don't think that'd be the first impression you'd get.
No,
he would have to do something to elicit that.
He was creepy towards the end.
Yes,
too.
he's weird and creepy.
Oh, towards the end. That is, oh, my word.
And, I know sometimes you get a haircut, and I'm probably the worst one for this. I've had the same hairstyle, and Carla can attest to this, for the better part of 30 years.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get something and you think it works for you and you stick with it. But Rodney, you should have cut your hair, mate.
It's a hard no.
Oh, Rodney.
That's
that
a hard
looks like an old
no,
lady
mate.
at the end, doesn't he?
You
Like
look,
ringlets.
he looks like a
Horrendous.
dirty
Although
pedo.
the photo of him when he is dying or very sick in hospital, his hair is cut. And he's quite hard to recognise at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he probably killed a lot more people than are known. I think he had ample opportunity and he had a zest for it, and he's just a sick fucker. And I think he definitely killed a lot more people.
I know it's probably not fair to put this on the police/legal departments, but I do feel a little bit let down by them in this case. And I can't kind of point at any one. We've done things before where people have behaved with incompetence, and there's no
It's
one that sort of
defective
stands
detective.
out.
And there's no one that stands out in this, but you're
But I
right.
just think, my God, and we have also discussed the
I agree with that.
importance of keeping priors out of cases for a number of reasons. But fuck me, chuck all of these in the cauldron and sentence him on the collective nature of what he's done, because I don't want him sentenced on individual crimes
No.
that are all connected.
He's got a body of work, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like just, stop
Jesus, a
looking at him in
portfolio.
isolation. Yeah, it is. It really is.
It totally is.
Yeah.
I
He
expect.
also, I didn't tell you, but he wrote a book. He
Of course he
basically
did.
tried to say that he was innocent and he was
They
fed up
always
or something.
do.
But who gives a shit what he wrote? Yeah.
Yeah, shut up, idiot.
It was just the portfolio made me think of it, the body of work.
It's so strange because in many respects, I sort of romanticize, I guess, the late 60s, early 70s, and that as a time where you think, oh my gosh,
It wasn't
imagine.
safe.
Oh my God. If there's one thing I've learned from this, and it's
Podcast.
certainly in America as well, I wouldn't want to be in California.
I wasn't
Fuck.
kidding when I said there was a spike of serial killers.
Yeah.
I think Golden State Killer.
Yeah.
Golden State Killer was prolific.
There was the one
The
up
Symbionese army or something like that. That was around about
Patty
the same
Hearst,
time.
yeah.
And they were talking about that there had been a massive upkick, or what do we call it? Uptick?
Yeah, of serial
killers.
And
yeah.
I heard someone the other day in a podcast I was listening to talking about they think it's related to veterans coming back from World War I and World War II. So they come back with PTSD and they
Right.
probably violent
Mistreated,
or
yeah.
whatever. Well, that's the assumption we're making.
Yeah.
Or they don't come back at all and the kids are raised with, a single parent family who's probably too busy working and not paying attention to them. So there's a suggestion that 50s, 60s, 70s had this big upswing. He was born in 43. So, but there's nothing to say that his father had served at all.
It could be more the depression. It could be any number of things.
That's right. So he might have done World War I, but there's nothing to say that he was impacted by that. He might have been impacted by poverty, but then there are lots of people impacted by poverty in the world today who aren't running around murdering people. Yeah.
Certainly a lot of Mexicans who are, and a lot of Mexicans who aren't swapping from one side of the border to the other and have the ability to move. That was quite
even
interesting.
more Mexicans who aren't named Rodney.
Well, there wasn't a wall in those days.
No, but this idea that they were in San Antonio. And
he wasn't really a Mexican. His name was Rodney.
Yeah.
We all know he wasn't really Mexican. I assume that, the grandmother wanted to go back to Mexico.
Yeah. Yes, but even that idea of going back, there's lots of people who they can't. Like, you make one movement one way and then you make the best of that. The fact that they went back again and that then the dad left and then the mum still got the kids to LA, there's some movement that I just don't quite get.
It's sort of like they're poor, but I'm not sure they were poor, is my point.
Queen of the South.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Queen of the South. I think it was, they might not have been poor, but when he couldn't get work in Mexico, he went back to, it was just weird. Even that whole abandoned by him. They went to his funeral.
Yes,
and
again, yeah.
He went back to LA. They weren't living far apart, like when she went up there. I feel like there's a beat up in that somewhere. You know what I mean? Or a miscommunication somewhere in the way that's been reported and is picked up as truth, and I'm not sure about it. It just, some of the backstory doesn't ring true or feel right to me, but I wasn't there. Couldn't tell you. Come on, Swanee. How about this? He's traveling one day and he comes across a man who says, do you want to come to my place? Lay your head down, have a rest.
Best party in town.
For a party, yeah.
Yeah.
Best party in town. And he goes back to the guy's place, and the guy's got this big trailer out the back. And the guy's got a girlfriend, if we recall. And he's got some dogs as well. And he says, come out to my trailer out the back. And he opens it up, and he pushes Rodney in. And he puts him in a chair, and he, let's face it, secures him to the chair.
This relates to a story that I've done. I presume that I can't remember.
It is. I'm waiting for you to remember it, yeah.
I know, I thought I did for the toy box, whatever it was called, yes.
He plays a tape for him, and he plays a tape saying, this is what's going to happen to you. How about we introduce Rodney to the toy box killer?
The toy box killer.
Yeah.
Great idea.
I think
they could both stamp each other out. That would be ideal. Yeah. Well done, Schmidty. Yep. Nice and tidy. I approve.
All right. We got there in the end. Well, sorry about that. I know it was a bit of a Debbie Downer, but
A bit.
I kind of like these saga ones that go on for ages, but also with the twists and turns and stuff. I know that sounds a bit sick, but you know.
No.
It was
That's why
heavy
I
on
like
the
the
true
genre.
crime, less so on the comedy. Well
True.
done.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me for that. And as we say every week, miss you already.
Well done,
Bye-bye.
Schmidty. Bye. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Trial by Wine. You can contact us at trialbywine@gmail.com. Please rate, review and subscribe to Trial by Wine on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to support us, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com, Trial by Wine, or visit our website www.trialbywine.com to donate to us. Your support will help us cover many more cases and apply wacky sentences. We really appreciate you listening and hope you tell everyone about us. Our cover art is by John Christo and music is by Beauchamp from pixabay.com.